think we're live here on Zoom and on Facebook right now. And just kind of say hello to people as they pop in here.
Hi guys, miss you.
Yes, we miss everybody from the gym. Hope you're all doing well. And we're just trying to spread the love basically and share some stories because we know people are kind of isolated right now. Our community is still connected though, and we're going to do more things like this to help facilitate that. So thank you so much, Julia, for coming today and joining me for this. This is definitely something I think people will benefit from.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and get started and people can kind of pop in as we go. So just for the audience at home, could you just introduce yourself and share a little bit about your backgrounds and where you come from?
Absolutely. I'm Julia, if those who haven't met me yet. I was actually born right here in Richmond and lived here until I was in second grade, and my family moved us up to Sonoma County. So I'm basically back at my roots. So I grew up sailing out of Richmond Yacht Club right here. So I've kind of been in and out of Richmond my whole life. I joined Cypher in December of 2019, just in time, right before this all came down. And actually my roommate is Meryl Pierce, the amazing Meryl. And
Meryl.
Yeah, she brought me to a couple of community days. Actually, it took 2 to convince me to join.
Oh, wow. That's kind of the long cycle we're noticing with people joining too. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So those worked. So thank you. Good.
We'll keep doing it.
No, just kidding. Yeah. So after the second one, my schedule freed up and it made all the sense in the world to join.
Great. Yeah. So just about, I guess you were 3 or 4 months in when the shelter in place started, and now you're about 5.5 or so months in. So kind of hitting your stride.
It's crazy when you think about it that way, but yeah.
Right. And yeah, just for a little more context, so what did you do for fitness and just kind of your athletic history before CrossFit?
Yeah, so I grew up playing team sports. I like soccer, volleyball, cross country, kind of was just always super active. And throughout my entire life, I've always raced sailboats. So like small, bigger boats, various levels of, I guess, athletic requirements for that. So in college, I raced for my school's varsity sailing team, which was much more kind of athletic driven endeavor as you'd hope for a varsity sport. And that's where I was introduced to weightlifting. And about 5 years ago, I was introduced to yoga. And so I've actually really gotten into yoga for just recovery and as well as like the mental side of things. So I know as many people at the gym obviously don't need to hear more about yoga.
Well, we love yoga.
Right? I know. It's just
shout out to Martina and Gaia Yoga. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking about her. She should be the one to talk about that. Yeah, and then a year ago, a friend introduced me to rock climbing, and I've really taken to that. So kind of, I just am always sort of looking for the next thing, but always going back to sailing and thinking about what can help me get to the next level of fitness for that.
Yeah. I want to dive into sailing a bit more because I'm noticing there's like this common ground among the people in the gym who are sailors. Like there seems to be some good work ethic, honestly, that must come either from that or the type of person that's drawn to sailing in the first place. Do you have any intuition about that?
That's a really good observation. Yeah. And I think the people who are in the gym, obviously that's all of us in the gym, not just the sailors. We're all there because we want to make ourselves better. So I think specifically sailors who find their way into the gym are definitely trying to push that next level. And I think we all realize that, yeah, you can go out and do your sport in any capacity, but the stronger you are, the better you are, and the better you recover. And the older we all get, like I think Matt Noble, Matt and Molly.
Yeah, Matt and Molly.
Sailor, yeah. So like the more sailing we do and the bigger boats we race and the longer distance races. So some of the races we do are like from here to Hawaii. And so that's like a 12-day. It's basically like you're running and be an ultra, So you need to think more of just, it's like your momentary strength, but that's also your durability and your stamina. So that's just like building. So yeah.
Much respect for sailors because I am a total wuss when it comes to being cold out on the water.
So are we. We hate it. Yeah, we don't know why we do
it. Self-flagellation. So yeah, do you think like you think sailing like kind of builds a rugged person, or like rugged people are attracted to it for some reason?
That's a good question. I think the higher you go, the higher levels of it, it will weed you out if you're not into that self-flagellation, as you put. Yeah, it tends to winnow down to the more masochistic crowd.
Sure.
But yeah, that's a really good question. But yeah, I think you definitely need to have a certain level of self-drive, I guess, especially the longer ocean races, because you race 24 hours a day, so you're on a watch schedule. So everything you're doing is consciously working towards your goal. So you need to be a very focused individual. I think that.
Yeah. And it's a very like action consequences environment. So you have to be sharp and paying attention constantly.
100%. Yeah. And even in the inshore races, just the day ones, even if you're in a dinghy, the second you get in the boat, I mean, it can tip over on you, if you're not careful. So you just have to be completely and totally physically and mentally present.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
So that leads me to like, what do you find translates well to CrossFit? Like, do you find yourself like able to focus in a certain way on your lifting, or how do you coach yourself through some of the more difficult workouts we do at the gym? Because we know they're all difficult for everyone in their own way.
Yeah. Some of them are the more fun kind of difficult. Some of them are the less fun difficult. I'd say just on any given day, or like the moment I like to step into the gym, that's why I can't wait to get back, because the moment you like walk through the doors, I feel like I leave all like the mental baggage at the door. It's like, okay, this is my time to focus and to, basically just focus on making myself better. So like, and then immediately like, okay, what parts are sore? You go through like the checklist, right? And then after that, to get into the workout, I just think, okay, I'm here to do work on myself. Yeah. Sorry, can you remind me of the question?
Just like, how do you talk yourself through the hardest part of a workout? Or what do you say to yourself?
Yeah. I guess the mental gear I've learned to drop into, because my profession, why I'm not actually at work right at this moment, I'm 30 on a Monday morning. My profession, I work in the merchant marine on big ships. So oil tankers, container ships and whatnot. So I'm gone for months at a time, home for months at a time usually. But when I'm at work, it's a huge pressure cooker of an environment. I'm usually one of the only women, or oftentimes the only woman. I'm the young, one of the most inexperienced just because of age. So I've kind of, it's kind of not really the greatest environment. So people generally are expecting me to fail. And so I found I've built a lot of like resentment and anger about that. So my time at work when I could get into the gym was a time when I could like burn through that. Like, the whole surrounded by people who think that you will fail, and you're like, well, here I am every day proving you wrong, essentially. And that's the experience. It's not always that way, but it's definitely very, very pervasive in some environments.
Yeah.
And to like, in the gym, I was like, no, this is my time to just kind of mentally burn through all that and like be able to come out the next day and still be calm and kind of keep my center. So I've found that like my energy when I really get into a good vibe in a workout is like a mixture of like adrenaline and kind of like sort of tapping into that undercurrent of anger, which may not be the best thing, the best, healthiest thing.
It's yours.
But it certainly works. It certainly works.
Good.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like, it sounds like you're already in a pretty intense environment on the regular, and kudos I appreciate it more now. I've heard this at least one other time, being a woman in a typically male dominated workplace where like, this is the world we live in, right? Like, you have higher expectations for yourself because you're the outlier in a way, and
right.
Yeah, that makes you stronger in some ways.
Yeah, like I know Sam works at Chevron. I know she has like very similar experiences, I'm sure. It's just, and it's just any person who's been, like you said, the outlier, the one like the black sheep in the group, for whatever reason it is. So
yeah. Well, good stuff. Well, I hope when you come to the gym, you can leverage some of that, but it's a more supportive environment of just
100%.
So happy to have you there.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know. That's one thing. It's definitely a disclaimer. Yeah, like that's just my internal dialogue, but it's so much easier too because it's like in this welcoming, awesome environment, and then it almost feels more like a team sport.
Yeah.
At least that's why I think I've taken to Cypher so much. Is just because it feels like I'm back playing. Back with my college sailing team, back with like my sports teams of youth, and everyone's like charging and competitive, but yet like supportive. So it's just fun.
That's great. And you know how to find another level.
Yeah.
All right. So just thinking about this as it translates to, this new lifestyle we find ourselves in, right away we were like, okay, we're going to figure out how to help all of our people through this online coaching system. It's all new. We're paying really close attention to see like how it goes and who's engaged. And right away, I was like, oh my God, Julia just took right to this. What was your mindset going into this as far as it relates to, you know, your exercise and your health? And how did you enable yourself to like just drive?
It's a good question. Yeah, that's definitely, I know we all had our own personal struggles with that.
Yeah,
right
sure.
But I guess I was already in the mindset of like, I committed to CrossFit, I committed to Cypher. I had these goals for this summer for like an ocean race I wanted to do. So I was very much in that mindset. So when the whole quarantine came down, and this was before everything for the rest of 2020 was canceled. Yeah. Initially I was like, okay, stay the course, you know, stay fit. But also something I've learned at work, and this carried me over after all plans dissolved, and we really, like you said, got into like that first couple weeks of transition zone where everyone's just kind of in a tailspin, like, oh my God, you're like doing damage control, like physically and also mentally. I think what got me through that was my experience at work on the ship, where, you know, you're gone for months at a time, and you are super isolated. Obviously, you know, you're on a ship with 24 people, and that's your world until you get off and come home. So you're at arm's length or half a world away. So I kind of think I almost
sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I actually didn't notice, actually, until you sent me these questions, I didn't notice that I was doing that unconsciously, but tapping into that, okay, well, what do I need to do to get myself through the day? Like what I do at work. And so, you know, like obviously we have responsibilities that you can't avoid, but the one thing I noticed is that I am mentally a happier person when I work out every day. And like going into the whole thing like helps me hit the reset button, work through any anger, frustration I have. But it's just the one thing that you can do for yourself every day. So yeah, so that was the big thing. So I've tried to make that, like, that was top of the list of priorities, was to continue to work out.
Yeah. I think most people intuitively know that it's harder to do it, but you had, sounds like, a lot of experience prior, kind of recognizing like this is what you can control. Yeah,
for sure.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you're able to continue it on and apply it to this, as tough as it is, we know, for everybody out there.
Yeah, no, and I honestly can't imagine people doing this, and, you know, like with kids, like, you know, continuing like balance drops and everything.
For all the parents out there, we know you in the gym are going through it.
Right, for sure.
Yes. All right. Well, what do you think is like your like, what are you missing about being at the gym the most?
Seeing everybody, you know, just yeah, because I mean, no matter, and I know everybody probably feels similar, like in the context of the gym. But yeah, being able to walk in and, like, you know I've used it, you know, when I'm having a bummer of a day, you know, and you just having one quick conversation with somebody before a workout, immediately your day is better, you know, or you know, just, yeah, definitely the vibe. But I also definitely miss the barbells.
The clanking sounds.
And also my pull-up bar is too short to do kipping pull-ups. So.
Making it work.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Is there anything you feel like you're getting better at because, like, you've been kind of narrowed into burpees all the time as a result, or is it just like trying to survive?
It's funny because I've never really been a large fan of burpees, but now I'm even less of a fan. It seems like dumbbell snatches come up a lot in the workout, so I think I've been really trying to consciously focus on that form a lot, because that just seems to come up frequently.
Yeah.
Trying to, you know, since our weight, I know everybody has a very limited home gym setup, and some are better than others, but for me, it's like just trying to focus, like, okay, on my form, like, you know, core tightness, just really trying to execute everything perfectly. Because if you're only using, you know, like a 30-pound weight to do something that you could normally do with, you know, 130 pounds, and it's, you know, you might as well just make the form perfect.
Yeah, that's what you can do.
Yeah.
This reminds me, though, like, that was part of what caught my attention early too, was the Cinder Block. Can you share the Cinder Block story for everyone?
Yeah, well, it's like then the True Coach, you guys, you on the app, you for all the workout descriptions, you say, or even in the Sugar Wad ones, they're like, okay, it's like what you would do if you're at the gym, and at home use a similar sized weight. So I was trying to find a similar sized weight for matching like mid-weight dumbbells to do. It was like a front rack step up or something. So I had these Cinder Blocks, and I do not recommend. Trying to like balance them on the shoulders. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
I think actually I like bruised my shoulders from it, but it worked. They were sufficiently heavy, but the dumbbells are shaped the way they are.
It puts me in a good mood when I see people being like creative in this way, even though it's not optimal. I don't know. Was it like kind of fun for you, or like this is ridiculous, but I'm
Oh,
doing
so
it?
it was very much, but it was like walking around the house, like, what do I have two of that are the same? And I think Alfredo recommended like sturdy bags, and you fill them up with like similar size weights. But I was like having trouble finding the right bag. And I was just like, God, I'm wasting my energy that I would be working out with trying to think
Right.
of ways for the workout.
I got this cinder block. Let's go.
Pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
Upgrades from there.
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right. We like to talk about the food side of things a little bit because we know there's a lot of, emotional eating going on right now, to say the least, and it's all
Yeah.
good. But we like to know, how are you doing, and what are you doing? What are you having success with, and what's maybe some struggle points?
The struggle point definitely initially was, we all can't go to the grocery store. We're all, just trying to not to go to the grocery store. Obviously, that's why we're home for the shelter in place. So I'm used to shopping every couple days, like picking up, the booster packs of fresh produce. And so trying to get the best, healthiest diet, but the longest duration between grocery shops. And I've gotten to about 10 days where I can actually have vegetables every single day. So that's been kind of like a game almost to play with myself. And so it's like the same kind of meal planning that, you recommend under normal circumstances, but now instead of like having a busy week, I just do the meal planning, but I just cook every single day because we have all the time to cook.
Yeah, that's kind of another like kind of irony in a good way. Like I'm cooking so much more now, and I'm kind of enjoying it, having the time to do it.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
fortunate. I really love to eat, but I also really love to cook. So this has actually been that part's been fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I try to like, before this whole thing came down, I have like, wake up early and I grind my coffee the night before, and I make like a protein smoothie to wake up and eat first thing in the morning. And then I like eat a little bit more breakfast after that. So I still try to keep like those kind of parts of the day, even though like the time crunch isn't as there in the mornings. I try to keep that. And then at least it feels like I'm jumping into the day immediately.
Yeah. So having some like anchor points for your routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that leads me to the next question. Like in the first week, I was super disoriented. Was that like kind of your experience too? Like, I don't even know what routine is anymore.
Totally.
And then how did you find your anchors?
I think, well, it was really odd for me because actually 2 weeks, I guess early March 9th, I left on a 2-week road trip to go like climbing and do some canyoneering and stuff in the Southwest. So I was actually like in northern Arizona and like southern Utah, like when this whole shelter in place thing came down, and I'm like, do I go home?
That's right. Yeah.
So I was in this like kind of really like weird kind of transition sort of fun time. And then it was like, let's just fall off a cliff when we get home into this whole quarantine world that everybody had already been in. So I was like actually a week behind most people in normal quarantine. Even I was like kind of quarantined in my car,
Wow.
So that first week was very, very just like trying to come to terms mentally with what was going on. And yeah, I think I went back to my normal default mode. Like actually it felt like when I get off a ship, sort of, you get home and you're completely spun. You're like, where's home? I haven't been here. Like my social stuck, so
again, your work has prepared you in a way.
a little bit. Yeah. It's kind of weird. I guess maybe we all kind of revert back to our natural, like what is comfortable for us and familiar. So for me, I guess, yeah, that kind of weird feeling was a little familiar, but yeah, I tried the workouts for sure helped. Just trying to take time to like keep everything organized around me. That was a big one. Just kind of, it's like when I don't know about you, but I'm kind of OCD. So like when my house is a mess, it's kind of distressing. So
yeah, for sure. Make the bed the first thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So just keep everything sorted, and then just like think about like what can I do every day to like actually make progress forward. So like communicating with friends and family, maybe people I haven't like seen in a while. That was a big one. Try to learn something new every day, and then think like, okay, my goals this year are kind of shredded. So what can I actively work towards next? So like kind of trying to like gather in all those different elements in that first week or two. And now that I'm sort of more used to the routine, is like, okay, just keep those big blocks and then kind of continually feel like I'm making progress forward at the same time.
That's very good. That's very structured. Are you like just thinking yourself through this daily, or are you journaling, or how are you like structuring this time that you're planning your day? Oh, so you do have like
I love to-do lists. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is part of your morning, like I'm going to have my coffee and write down my plans or my intentions.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah,
And sometimes it's
for
like
sure.
drink coffee and make list is like step one of the list.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just like erase the board and then start with the day that way too. And that's really centering it
right,
for me.
right. Yeah, and I don't know. I know everybody does it differently, but I'm a very literal person. And so I actually have a standing list and it's like a bunch of different time blocks. And on there is like workout, communicate with people, educate, clean. It's like time blocks, like things to accomplish every day. And I just kind of do mental checks next to the ones that I get. And oh, spend time outside. That's another big one. Yeah, that's
Yes. Yes. Just
most
like
importantly.
even just barely outside is good for me.
Yeah, right.
I'll take it.
Stick your head outside. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but being
Wonderful.
conscious. Yeah, being conscious helps a lot.
I think this structure will help a lot of people.
Yeah.
So Zaira and Alfredo are asking some questions. What's your go-to lunch? Zaira asks.
Hi, Zaida. My go-to lunch. I try to keep lunch meat in the house. So it's like kind of sliced chicken and turkey, and it's all. And then when the vegetables are still good, I use some spinach and maybe some leftover vegetables from the night before. Actually, usually for dinner, I do like a big pan of roasted vegetables. I've gotten kind of into that. Part laziness, part like efficiency. So I cut up a bunch of like sweet potatoes, bell pepper, kale, some onion, just like basically whatever I have on hand, and do like a little olive oil, salt and pepper. And I'll just eat that with dinner with some kind of protein or some kind of meat. And then I'll use the leftover sometimes. Sometimes I'll do like a wrap for lunch the next day. But I'm kind of like a garbage disposal. I'm just eating through. So it's like,
recycle it into use again.
You know? But the more vegetables I can get, the better.
Wonderful. Awesome. All right. And Alfredo asks, having extra time in your day, how do you schedule a time slot for your workout and how do you prepare for it?
Ooh, good question. Some days I do better than others. Always aim for actually this time of day, usually like late morning to midday. Because I know if it slips past that, the day will just kind of get away from me. So I try to think like actually in the morning I've been waking up and doing like a little 15 or 20-minute yoga thing, like one of the online kind of yoga classes. I use a website called Glow. I think it's like a subscription based, but so a bunch of different offerings. So I find that's kind of just like a nice way to start. And I'll try like go for a walk, do something. And I find if I like set a timeline for myself, like, okay, I will work out by noon today. And then if it's like 10:30, I'm like, all right, better get going, you know? So it's like, I have to like monitor myself because otherwise like I'll work out at some point today before you know it's dinner time.
Right. You can just kick the can indefinitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It is definitely different than being at the gym in terms of like, when is it start time? I'll kind of just like pace around a little bit and be like, okay, now. But it definitely feels arbitrary.
Yeah, I'm going to start at 11:27 this morning.
Right. It's just whatever happens.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's some more great structure. All right. Outside of health and fitness stuff, what activities or what are you engaged in that keeps you positive and feeling good about, lifestyle these days?
Outside of health and fitness, I guess eating doesn't count. That's part of health, isn't it?
It can be part of it. Little liberations there. What's your go-to snack?
Yes,
or drink?
exactly. Yeah, coffee. No, definitely try not to OD on coffee. No, but outside of that, I really love to paint and draw. So I'm trying to spend more time doing that because it's kind of like a mental thing. But I know a lot of my artist friends are struggling with their creativity right now. Just because we all feel kind of maybe confined or I don't know what it is. So, but so anytime I can kind of tap into that's kind of another kind of mental sidetrack. But I love to communicate with people. I'm naturally an introvert, so I like force myself to not like force, but like I have to try. So like
effortful. I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So, it doesn't just come easily, so it's actually been kind of fun to do like my college friends who are all on the East Coast. I don't see a lot, we have actually scheduled times where we all do a Zoom chat, or stuff like that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So that's and that kind of brings in the sense of community. So yeah. And then I just try, like I said, to just get outside, even if it's just to physically be out there, not doing anything necessarily activity wise, but just, feeling less confined.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't take a lot. Like I'm finding if I just go, it's like not even a quarter mile and just sit on the grass in the nearby little spot. I'm like, all right, this feels good.
Yeah.
Or even just a blanket and a pillow out in the yard. I'll be like, all right, here we are, picnic.
Yeah, right. For sure. It's even just like the smallest change of like setting,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the inside outside, it makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
One
well,
of
this
the
has
things.
been wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any other things you want to share that you think would be helpful for people at home right now?
I know everyone has different situations and all that jazz, so it's hard to find like the one thing. But I guess practicing patience has been big. Just like, and just trying to be present. And like one of my favorite quotes I found the last year was like, if you can't change it, then don't dwell on it, or why dwell on it? You know, it's like, and I think of that in the same way. Like, if you can't change it, why dwell on it? But then if you can change it, then change it, you know? So it's like, I try to think of it different ways, and it's kind of maybe harsh, but it's something like, well, I cannot change the fact that this is the global situation right now, but what can I change about it? You know? So
yeah,
that's how I try to, in my best moments, how I try to proceed.
I know what you mean by best moments too, because it's not always that way, but when you can, it's like focus on what you can control and don't dwell on what you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. Like, I'm sure you've read the book, The Four Agreements.
Yes. Well, I haven't read the book, but I am familiar with all the different agreements and what they mean.
Yeah. One of them, not to be like a book plug or whatever, but I know it's a fairly common and very
great book.
Yeah.
Part of our staff training, actually. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice. So I've read that before the pandemic kind of came down, but I've been thinking about it a lot. And one of the four agreements is always do your best, and you can change moment to moment. And it even says in the book, I think, if you wake up hungover, obviously your best is going to be a lot lower than your normal best. Those slides.
And your best was last night too.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a sliding scale of what your best is, but
yeah,
just been trying to think of those things, just to be patient with myself. So.
Yes, I can see how that's directly connected. Like, if you're patient, that your best is happening right now, and it's good.
Right. Yeah. Or like, if you hurt yourself, like, okay, my best is now slightly less than like my athletic best is now, or, you know, if I'm sad or if I'm bummed or whatever, obviously my emotional best is not quite there, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I think that's a great place to finish. Like, everybody is really helped, I think, by being reminded to be patient, and their best is good enough. And thank you so much for sharing all of this, Julia. I hope it resonates with everybody, and that we can keep on moving forward together.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mauricio.
All right. You take care now.
Miss you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.